Tropospheric scatter propagation. Today's session we will discuss about tropospheric scatter propagation. So let us have the look on how this tropospheric scatter propagation takes place. So consider this is the surface of the earth. So this curvature describes the surface of the earth. Now you can see that we have 2 points T and R. So this T point indicates it is a transmitter and R point indicates it is a receiver. Now from this transmitter we are transmitting the frequencies. We will see in details of which frequencies we are transmitting and how it will be reflecting. But for the time being we are discussing about this diagram, how the tropospheric scatter propagation looks like and how it behaves. So in this diagram, when the transmitter is transmitting the radio waves, some portion gets some portion of the frequencies get passed through it, means they will not be reflected back to the earth. So if we project the reflections which are towards the transmitter, they are called as backscatter. And if the angle of incidence is equals to angle of reflection, then they will be termed as forward scatter. Now what is this scatter volume? This scatter volume is nothing but ionized layer, some portion of ionized layer above the surface of the earth. So why these scatter volume, ionized particle scatter volume has been formed, and that too in the form of clouds, means we will not have a dedicated link just like ionosphere, but some small portions of the earth's atmosphere will get ionized, and why this phenomena is taking place, it's still yet to understand. Okay, so this small scatter volume, or we can say small portion of the ionized layer, this will reflect the electromagnetic waves, or we say the radio frequencies. Now we will discuss in detail about tropospheric scatter propagation. So it is also known as troposcatter or forward scatter propagation. It is a kind of beyond the horizon propagation for ultra high frequency signals. So generally the frequency is lying in the range of above UHF band, lying in the frequency band of UHF. These frequencies are reflected by this scatter volume, a volume of ionized particles. So it uses certain properties of a troposphere. So troposphere is the nearest layer of the Earth's atmosphere. So it is around just 15 kilometers from the ground surface. Now this troposphere, in some parts, in some small portions, get ionized because of the radiations of sun. So some volume, some scatter volume, it is not a continuous, discrete, or we can say scatter volume. Portions of the troposphere layer gets ionized, and now this scatter volume will now reflect the electromagnetic waves or simply radio frequencies in the UHF band. Now let us see what are the properties. So as shown in this figure, there are two directional antennas pointed in such a way that their beams intersect midway between the above the horizon region. Means we know that what is uh, directional antennas, means they will point towards each other. They must see, the transmitter and receiver must see each other, a kind of space wave propagation. So in the space wave propagation, that is line of sight propagation, in the same way here also the transmitter and the receiver antenna must be oriented in such a way that their beams intersect in exactly in between, the midway between them. Means if T transmitter and R receiver are located at a distance of say 100 kilometers, so the waves transmitted by receiver or the waves transmitted by the transmitter must intersect in between around say 50 kilometers. So 50 kilometers is the midpoint. So two directional antennas are pointed so that their beams intersect midway between them above the horizon. So if one of these is UHF transmitting antenna, see this T, suppose it is UHF frequency transmitting antenna and this receiver is UHF receiving antenna. So sufficient radio energy will be directed towards the receiving antenna to make this useful for the communication. The condition is that it must be reflected by some ionized layer, and that ionized layer or scatter volume, or we can say blobs or some clouds, it is not the clouds of rain but it is a cloud of ionized particles. So this blob or this scatter volume will reflect the UHF frequencies. So why this scatter volume is present, why the scattering action is take placing, is not at all fully understood. But some theories are proposed. One theory suggests that the reflections is taking from the blobs in the atmosphere. It is just like the light is scattered by some scattering media such as dust particles, and some say that the reflection is taking place because of the atmospheric layers. So two reasons. Just like dust particles, the electromagnetic waves are scattered because of some blobs, some clouds, just similar to the clouds, but they are invisible clouds. And some people say that because the atmospheric layer gets ionized in the troposphere, and that layer, some portion of that layer is reflecting it. So either way, it is permanent state of affair, it is not sporadic phenomena. It is not sporadic. The frequencies which are generally used for this kind of communication ranges from 900 megahertz, 2000 megahertz and 5000 megahertz. So this scatter volume means these blobs are reflecting the electromagnetic waves, or we can say the UHF frequencies, but the reflection is actually very small. So even here the actual portion of the forward scatter to the signal incident on the scatter volume is very less. It is lying between 60 to minus 90 dB, or one we can say that 1 billionth or 1 billionth of the incident power is only reflected, or we can say forward scattered. So it is obvious that we require a very high power antennas. So very high power antennas are used in the transmitter side so that the energy is reflected back to the receiver. But as these waves are reflected because of forward scattering, there is some fading. What is fading? Fading is the fluctuations in the signal strength. So, although the forward scatter is subjected to fading with little signal scattered forward, it is forming one of the reliable method of over the horizon communication. Means here it means that we are not in need of ionosphere, but where once we have located this scatter volume, or once we have located this blob, once we are able to locate this blob, we are in a position to transmit and receive the frequencies over the horizon, and hence over the horizon communication is possible. It is not affected by the phenomena that afflicts the high frequency skywave propagation. So as we have seen in the skywave propagation that the height of the ionosphere layer changes and it do causes side effects. It is do responsible for not having the proper distance between the transmitter and the receiver antenna is difficult to calculate, because every time, because of the variations in the sun's intensity, the height of the ionospheric layer is varying. So the location of transmitting antenna and receiving antenna is somewhat changing, means approximate calculations are required. We cannot actually place the antennas. The point here is very simple. In the skywave propagation, the layers of ionospheric layer, the variations takes place. Means the height of the ionospheric layer changes because of the sun's intensity, and hence it affects the communication. But in tropospheric scatter propagation, so as this troposphere scatter is not affected by the abnormal phenomena that affect the high frequency skywave propagation, we find the numerous applications of this propagation. So accordingly, this method of propagation is often used to provide long distance telephonic calls and other communication links as an alternative to microwave links. Means we do not have to use the microwave antennas or coaxial wires. Without using the microwave antennas, without using the microwave links or coaxial cables, just by utilizing the blobs, just by locating the position of the blob, we are in a condition to have a long distance telephonic call, or we are in a position to establish a communication link. Who is acting as a reflector? The scatter volume, the blobs. This blobs, it is acting as an ionospheric layer, and this some portion of the ionosphere, which is called as scatter volume or which is called as blob, is present in the troposphere, and hence the name is given the tropospheric scatter propagation. It is not present in the ionosphere, it is present in the troposphere, and hence the name is given tropospheric scatter propagation. So it is just as an alternative to the microwave link or a coaxial cable where it is inaccessible terrains. Means the places where it is difficult to establish a coaxial link or microwave link, this troposphere scatter propagation can be utilized. So the distance, the path distance can be as long as 300 to 500 kilometers. So it's a huge path. So this tropospheric scatter propagation, as we have discussed earlier, it is subjected to fading. Fading means this forward scattered rays which are received by the receiving antennas will have some losses. That is fadings. What is fading? Fluctuations or the variations of the signals received. The strength gets fluctuated. The strength of the signal gets fluctuated. So the first form of fading is that the first is that fast occurring several times per minute and it is burst, and the signal variation that takes place in excess of 20 dB. So it is a very fast fluctuations in the signal. So this fast fluctuations of signals is often called as Rayleigh fading, and it is caused because the multipath propagations. So here it happens that the scatter volume may scatter the transmitted signals within this volume number of times, and hence the signal strength variation occurs. So this type of fading which is caused because of the multipath propagation within this scatter volume. Okay, here we are talking with reference to this scatter volume. Okay, so Rayleigh fading, it is also called as Rayleigh fading, and it is caused by the multipath propagation. So the scattering is from a volume and not a point. So several paths of propagation exist within this scatter volume. So once the rays are striking this scatter volume, the rays will be scattered, or they will follow the multiple path within this volume itself, and then they will receive to the receiver. And as they are having the multiple path within this scatter volume, hence there will be fading, and this fading is very fast occurring because the scatter volume is very small, and because of this continuous variations the signal strength will fluctuate, or there will be some losses of around 20 dB. The second form of fading is slow fading, and it is caused by the variations in the atmospheric conditions along the path. So we can say because of the absorption also the signal strength reduces. So this is because of the atmospheric condition, because of water vapor, because of the presence of oxygen, sorry, because of the presence of ozone, or because of the presence of carbon dioxide, because of the presence of water vapors, there is fading. So it has been found that the best results are obtained from tropospheric propagation if antennas are elevated and directed down towards the horizon. So we have to uh, establish beyond the horizon communication. So, and we have to just calculate the mid path. First, we have to locate. So, just by using a trial and error basis, we have to locate the scatter volume. So, it will act as a midway and equal distance from this midway to transmitter and from this midway to receiver. Equal distance must be calculated and then the antennas are placed. So also because of the fading problems, diversity systems are invariably employed, such as with space diversity, which is more common than frequency diversity. So here we must be understand what is frequency diversity or space diversity. So to make one clarification, I would say that the same antenna means here the transmitting antenna can be acted as a receiving antenna, and here the receiving antenna can act as a transmitting antenna. So quadruple diversity systems are generally employed with the two antennas at either end of the link, all used for transmission and reception, separated by distance, which is separated by a distance of around 30 wavelength. So the distance between the transmitting and receiving antenna must be around 30 wavelengths, and wavelength is related with the frequency of the transmission. So, to conclude about the tropospheric scatter propagation, again I would like to say that this type of propagation is beyond the radio horizon propagation. Beyond the radio horizon propagation. This scatter volume is permanently present. So it is not affected just like ionospheric layer. The applications is long distance telephonic communication without the use of microwave links, or where the link establishment is very difficult. The distance between the transmitting and receiving antenna is around 300 to 500 kilometers. This type of propagation is subjected to fading, and this is the disadvantage. So if there is a high fading of around 20 dBs, so we require a high transmitting antenna, high power transmitting antenna. Fading is of two type. So here because of the fast occurring and one is the slow occurring. Slow occurring, which will occur in this layer in the atmosphere. Fast fading will occur in the this scatter volume itself. So in this scatter volume, multiple path will occur, and this because the rays, this transmitted frequencies will have multiple scattering. Because of this scatter volume means they will have multiple path, and thus because of that the fading will take place. Another fading will take place because of this atmospheric conditions, just because the frequencies are affected by the water vapors, gases, etc. So this is but as the height variation of this scatter volume does not take place, so it is very beneficial that it can be used for a long distance communication without using any microwave link. So this is all about the tropospheric scatter propagation. The distance, maximum distance between this transmitted and receiving antenna is around 30 wavelength. The 30 wavelength means it is corresponded to the frequency of the UHF band. Thank you.